Utah at Oregon State. Wow, feels like the national media is still neglecting to talk about Utah. They're
Oh,
they're undefeated without Cam Rising. Florida, Baylor, uh, and then Frisky. Who's they played some terrible team. But then UCLA, Dante Moore, really good defense. They get it done at home like they always do. The difference here though, they're on the road. On the road, going to Corvallis. DJ in a big game, but he's at home playing against a very, very good defense. Utah's been banged up all year. Like I want to say, like, oh, Utah, like injuries, they've been banged up all year. I mean, aside from Cam Rising, Connor O'Toole on defense, right? Micah Pittman, right, their wide receiver, who apparently they don't need because they don't score points anyways. Bernard at running back, Jalen Glover, but I think he's okay though. I think he'll be back. Quinn Jackson, he's also been banged up, like kind of like since the Baylor game, he just kind of fighting through things, fighting through the little kinks and whatnot. But and Oregon State is entirely healthy. That offensive line is cooking. Now they lost to Washington State, but that was a team that is one very good and very explosive in their pass game, which I don't know that Utah can do. I don't know that Utah can do that. So the question is, can Oregon State get theirs on the ground game this week?
When UCLA tried that and they really couldn't. When Carson was stealing their stable running backs there, obviously it was at Utah. Oregon State, I think Damian Martinez. I know you're high on him. I'm high on him. People are starting to get as high as you are on him, which is good for them in Corvallis to get some attention that they deserve. I think this game would have had a lot more eyes on it, right? If it wasn't on a Friday night, and if Oregon State didn't lose last week, right? They were still undefeated. Then you'd have a top 15 matchup, top 12 matchup, maybe, right there on the Pac-12. I think something about me, and I've been pretty good on Utah all year. Something about me says that Nate Johnson's gonna have a really nice game. Right? We don't know if Cam Rising's playing or not. I assume not. Right? I'm gonna pick it as
They got a bye week next week. I think that's their plan.
That's the logical sense. And if you lose this game, yes, that sucks, but your season's not over, right? The Pac-12 championship can still win with the healthy Cam Rising.
Totally.
But I still think Nate Johnson, right? Cam Ward obviously is Cam Ward, and he's got a stable of receivers, an O-line that's actually playing pretty darn good compared to what it was last year. So he obviously, torched this Oregon State defense. I don't even think they punted once in that game. But I think Nate Johnson with his legs, maybe extending plays instead of running for first downs, can throw for big touchdowns when broken plays happen. And if you're Utah, we saw against UCLA, you only need a couple plays, right? A couple plays, right? Because of how consistent they are down, right? You only need a couple explosive plays, whether offensively or defensive special teams, to get big, big touchdowns there. So I'm gonna go Utah as a road dog. Give me plus 3.5 Utah, and give me Utah obviously to win.
Wow. Last week, I faded Utah. I did it. I took UCLA to win, and I took their spread, obviously, inherently. But we were like, are you going to make that mistake again this week? Well, this time, it's not a mistake. Give me the Beavs. Give me the points. Difference here, it's in Corvallis. That makes the difference in the game. I think Oregon State can get theirs. I think DJU can do enough, especially at home. He just plays better at home. That's just what he does.
But also in big games against good defenses, are you worried about that as all? Are you worried about that? I mean, you have to be a little bit worried, but how worried are you? You're obviously not worried enough to fade you.
Whatever he does, it is not going to be worse than what Nate Johnson's going to do this Saturday or this Friday.
Come on, don't give me that Actually, no, Nate Johnson.
The kid's got heart. Kid's got heart. He doesn't do a lot of stuff to he doesn't do a lot of stuff to lose you ball games, but I think this is a game where you need a quarterback to go win you one. And I just don't.
When have you ever given a quarterback and described him as, oh, he's got heart, and that's ever been a compliment in terms of like a really good player? Like,
hey, I said that about Dante Moore last week. That kid has heart. That
Okay.
kid has heart.
Diego Pavila, right? For those of you who don't know, is a New Mexico State quarterback. He's got heart. He for whatever he did, off the field against New Mexico is totally different. But he's got heart. He's not a good quarterback, but he's got heart. Nate Johnson is a good athlete. He can make plays.
I haven't heard you say that he's a good quarterback. I've heard you say he's a good athlete. That's all I've heard you say.
Well, because I said he's gonna when the pocket breaks down or when he chooses to leave, he's got 10-4 speed, 10-5 speed. I mean, he can go wherever he wants to go. And you got to get that running game.
I'm going to take the better quarterback. I'm going to take the better offensive line. I'm going to take the better rushing attack, and I'm going to take him at home. That's what I'm going to do.
So you could say all those things about UCLA last year, except on being on the road. UCLA. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, man. It's just so hard. We've learned not to bet on Kyle Whittingham. And
look, if I lose this again, I can no longer fade Utah for the rest of the year.
Well, and you have Utah's over under. You have their over on the season. I think is it Oregon State's as well?
I have both of them.
Yeah. So it doesn't really matter the outcome of this game for you. Obviously, we're not putting money on this individual game.
I think I'd like Oregon State. Oregon State's got a pretty tough schedule, but so is Utah. But if Utah gets Cam Rising back after the bye, then I'm not worried.
I was worried for Utah having such an early bye, right? Week 6.
I think it's perfect.
I didn't realize how physical their schedule was going to be. You've got Florida, obviously, who's a physical football team. Baylor, for all their limitations, they're a little bit physical for sure. And obviously, UCLA and Oregon State are very physical football teams. But Utah in its own right, very, very, they pride themselves on physical. And the sad part about it, though, with Kyle Whittingham is you haven't heard his name come up once in the national media. Once. Nope. If people say, oh, Utah's won without a backup quarterback, good for them. But Kyle Whittingham deserves a ton of credit. We talk about if the season ended today, what would your award voting coach of the year in the Pac-12 has to be Kyle Whittingham. Even though Deion Sanders deserves a ton of credit, and I love Deion Sanders, and I love what he's doing for Colorado. And obviously, if he continues to play this well, he's probably going to win it, and probably rightfully so. But Kyle Whittingham, man, 4-0 with no quarterback play. No quarterback play. This week he gets it, though. Nate Johnson on the road gets it done.